We're on the record. Good evening and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission's evening comment hearing for members of the public in docket number 9655. This is with respect to Pepco's request for a multi-year rate increase. I'd like to welcome you to spending some time with us this evening. My name is Jason Stanek. I'm the chairman of the Maryland Public Service Commission. With me are three of my colleagues, Commissioner Michael Richard, Commissioner Obie Linton, and Commissioner Mindy Herman. We have a number of members of the public and other officials that would like to speak this evening. We will hear from each of these members for approximately 3 minutes apiece regarding this application and Pepco's request to increase rates. However, we have some additional persons in the virtual room tonight that I would just like to introduce as they hold special status with the commission. Number one, we have our court reporter with us this evening. So when it is your opportunity to speak, I would ask that you please state and spell your name for the record. We have a number of representatives from the utility, that is Pepco, that will be here tonight to provide a high-level overview of the rate application that was filed with the commission back on October 24th of last year. We have an attorney from the Maryland Office of People's Counsel. His name is Gary L. Alexander. The People's Counsel is the residential ratepayer advocate for the state. And we also have an attorney named James Greger. Mr. Greger is an attorney with the Commission's Office of Staff Counsel. All of these public servants are available to discuss this case outside of this forum tonight. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to allow the four commissioners to hear comments from the public. Since this is a contested proceeding that is currently pending before the Public Service Commission, the commissioners cannot engage in conversation with members of the public or have any substantive discussions. However, we will be here to take notes and listen to any concerns, compliments, or criticisms with respect to the filing that is now before us. In just a moment, I will turn to a representative from the utility to provide that overview. But in terms of the run of show this evening, I will be calling on those members of the public who have pre-identified that they wish to speak tonight, and we'll be going in alphabetical order by first name, not by last name. So that may give you some indication of where you fall in the queue as I call your name. Again, please be sure to state and spell your full name for the record when I call on you to speak. I should note that this is the first of two virtual public comment hearings that we're having. The next hearing will be exactly 1 month from today, so on April 15th at 6 p.m. Also, for members of the public who do not wish to speak orally through this WebEx meeting, the public has the opportunity to file written comments on our website, and we have that on our main website. If you look right in the center of our page, it says make a public comment, and it's easy to do virtually. Those comments are due on May 5th of 2001. At this time, I'll turn to a representative from Pepco to provide the commission and members of the public with an overview of the rate application that was filed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, and good evening. As you noted, Mr. Chairman, we do have several representatives from Pepco here, one of whom is Mr. Kevin McGowan, who is our Vice President for Regulatory Affairs, and I would like to turn it over to him to provide the overview of our rate case.
Thank you, Mr. Seegers. Mr. McGowan, if you could please state and spell your name.
Sure. My name is Kevin McGowan, McGowan. I'm a Vice President of Regulatory Policy and Strategy for Pepco Holdings. Good evening, and I appreciate the Commission's time and the public's time tonight and the interest in our rate case filing. Pepco filed a 3-year multi-year rate plan in October of 2020. The company is requesting a cumulative rate increase over that period of time of approximately $110 million. The cost that the company is requesting is to recover investments that we've made to improve reliability in our system and to improve customer care for our customers. The company in 2020 had its best reliability performance in many years, over a decade. And we believe that the investments the company is making are appropriate and delivering great value to our customers. Our application also requests recovery of costs incurred to date on the deployment of the electric vehicle chargers that was approved by the commission, and also a proposal to install smart street lights for the company-owned street lights throughout the Pepco, Maryland territory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan. If you could please remute your microphone. Thank you. At this time, we will hear from members of the public with respect to the Pepco filing. We'll begin with Delegate Alfred Carr, who represents the 18th Legislative District of Maryland and Montgomery County. Good evening, Delegate.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Al Carr, A-L-C-A-R-R. I am a member of the House of Delegates, and I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I'll focus my case 9655 comments on the lighting aspects. Pepco proposes upgrading streetlights with LED technology and to equip the lights with smart nodes. Pepco is behind its peer utilities in facilitating LED upgrades. I applaud them for providing a path to energy efficient lighting that local governments have wanted for years. In the past, pricing and availability for LED upgrades has been difficult to obtain and inconsistently applied. Pepco has a poor track record of operating its existing street lighting infrastructure. The page on Pepco's website by which people report streetlight outages is broken. Some lights are missing from the page's inventory map, so they're unreportable. Other lights are on the map, but are listed as being located on the wrong street. Sadly, there's a correlation between pedestrian deaths and malfunctioning Pepco streetlights. Pepco's billing system is broken. Pepco implemented the current system in January 2015. The new invoice format lacks information about streetlight types and wattages, impeding local governments from verifying accuracy. In Georges County, Pepco installed or converted hundreds of lights over the past 3 years, but they still do not appear on the invoice. I hope you'll probe Pepco's replacement of a functional billing system with a flawed one. Pepco is not delivering all the services for which it charges. For example, the tariff includes washing the globes. In its monthly fees, Pepco charges for this service, but has not been providing it. LED upgrades are sensible, but the proposed $15 million expenditure for the attached smart nodes and related IT infrastructure is questionable. These always-on components negate energy savings. Futuristic services and features such as air quality and traffic monitoring and gunshot detection are not needed or wanted. Another wasteful aspect of Pepco's proposal is the premature retirement of assets. Replacing bracket arms hurts the environmental footprint of the project. BG&E instead reused the bracket arms for their LED upgrade. The proposal to replace decorative induction lights in municipalities with LED is questionable, as they are superior to LEDs in durability and light quality and have years of useful life remaining. Aspects of Pepco's proposal may be contrary to state law. It eliminates a tariff provision for customer-owned lights. Local governments that desire to own the lights should be able to purchase them from Pepco at the original cost minus depreciation. There's precedent in the District of Columbia. Please ensure that Empower Maryland funds are granted in a transparent and equitable manner. Empower funds should be available to customers of all classes who pay into the fund, regardless of who owns the lights. Empower funds should not be used to subsidize smart nodes. Finally, the scope of the proposal should be expanded to include lights installed for small businesses and places of worship. The installed base of outdoor lighting service Schedule OL lights is inefficient and would also benefit from LED upgrades. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegate. We'll next turn to Ms. Andrea Williams.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Andrea Williams.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can.
my name is Andrea Williams, spelled Andrea, last name Williams, WIAMS. And the reason why I wanted to speak tonight was because I personally feel that Pepco gouges their customers. It does not make any sense to me that the amount that I pay for my electricity that I use is also the same amount that I'm being charged to have the service delivered to my home. I understand if I was using a different provider to provide me the electricity, but Pepco is getting the money for the electricity that I use, as well as the money that is charging for me for the electricity to come to my home. That should be much less, particularly for a direct customer. And for them hiking up the rates again, they need to consider lowering the rate, because if they're not using the money wisely, then the customers should not be paying for them not doing what they're supposed to do with the funds that they are receiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. We will next turn to Pastor Bobby Manning.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Ken.
Right. My name is Pastor Bobby Manning. That's Manning. I'm the president of the Collective Empowerment Group, which is a group of local faith communities that partner with strategic partners in the business and banking community, such as Pepco. I'm here to speak not necessarily to the proposal as much as I've been asked to speak to Pepco's commitment to serving the community through programs to help its customers and constituents. Along with several other service initiatives, Pepco has partnered with several community organizations, including ours, to ensure that education goes forward, and to ensure that people are not only well educated but supplemented throughout the community. And so as a community person in the community, and someone who appreciates the partnership that Pepco has in their outreaches, here to speak to that aspect of what they have done in the past, and voice our appreciation for how they have served the community beyond just the offering of the services of electrical services. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. We'll next turn to Boris D'Souza. He may not be here. We will go to Brandon Bellamy.
Hello, this is Brandon Bellamy, BrandonBellamy. I'm with the Velocity Companies. We're a commercial real estate company in the region. I just want to say, as a business owner, I can appreciate the forward-looking approach that Pepco has taken. Dollars that have already been expended to improve the infrastructure that's needed to provide us all energy. I could say that I think that it makes sense to upgrade the street lights, and it does make absolute sense to increase the electric vehicle infrastructure. That's where everything's going. Obviously, it's great for the environment. And as a partner, I appreciate the work that Pepco has provided to underinvested communities that we develop in, as well as their philanthropic work, recovery grant dollars that they provided to small businesses, and the way that they work with the community through payment plans. I appreciate what they have done. I think that this just makes good business sense. And as my father used to say, a rising tide floats all boats. So increases and improvement to the infrastructure as needed benefits everyone. And as a business owner, it makes sense. There needs to be some way to recoup that capital. And I think this is done in a responsible way, the way they've scheduled out the potential rate increase to deal with the dollars that they've already expended. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll next turn to Brendan Mislowick. Christopher Jones. David Harrington.
Yes, sir. Coming right on.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David, D-A-V-I-D, Harrington, Harrington. I am President and CEO of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and to the commissioners, good evening. The Chamber of Commerce represents over 600 businesses across Prince George's County, but also the Washington region, which also represents well over 30,000 employees. We are in support of the Pepco proposal. We believe that it is forward thinking and that it will provide the green infrastructure as well as the kind of energy that we're going to need post COVID. Let's keep in mind that the workplace is rapidly changing. What I'm hearing is that many businesses may be considering a work at home environment. And I can say for myself that all my team work at home. And so we need reliable electricity to be able to transact business. It is essential. Like many of you, I'm on Zoom calls throughout the day. And without that reliability, we could not transact business. The other is that we've seen in areas that have forego infrastructure improvements what that means to the economy. We've seen in Texas, for example, with the horrific snowstorm there, that not having a reliable grid or being able or forgetting about that grid can lead to disastrous outcomes. And so I applaud Pepco for being forward thinking, for thinking about us now moving ahead with green cars, with LED lighting, and everything that will be involved with improving then our ability then to not only again transact business, but provide then reliable electricity. I would also add that Pepco has been an incredible philanthropist in the region, if not the most engaged philanthropist in the region, providing needed dollars to nonprofits and others so that they can then provide the needed social services to our community. So, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, as President and CEO of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, we support this plan, and we will urge your favorable support from the Commission as Pepco that would allow Pepco to move forward with high-end technology. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will next turn to, and forgive me if I state your name incorrectly, Fitwi Mangsteeb. Genevieve de Messieurs.
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is Genevieve de Messier. That's spelled Genevieve. Last name DE space MESSIERES. I'm representing the Berwyn Heights Green Team where I live in Prince George's County. I was raised in Montgomery County. I'm a proud Marylander with a PhD in astronomy. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make our streetlights more energy efficient and better for human safety and the environment. Pepco must prove it is making careful design choices to improve human health and safety, as well as protect the environment. Worldwide, cities and regions are switching to LED streetlights, but sometimes residents are upset at poorly designed installations that are too bright, too blue, and shine into their windows, making it hard to sleep. Davis, California even had to retrofit their brand new, overly bright, overly blue LED streetlights to satisfy their residents. They could have saved lots of money if they had done it right the first time. Maryland customers won't want to retrofit 60,000 streetlights after they're installed. Pepco is rightfully proud to present this as a plan as an opportunity to save on energy and carbon emissions. They say their plan aligns with dark sky standards and the recommendations of the medical community. Before the commission approves the plan, Pepco needs to prove that their plan is in line with those standards. There are 5 aspects of good outdoor lighting design. Only on when needed, only where needed, no brighter than needed, not blue in color, and fully shielded to point only downward. They're all important standards which can save energy, reduce safety hazards, help improve human health, and protect the environment. Truly a win-win opportunity. I want to emphasize 2 today, not blue in color and fully shielded. The American Medical Association has warned that exposure to blue light interferes with sleep, causes heart problems, raises cancer risk, and creates vision-impairing glare. It's terrible for other animals too. Both the AMA and the International Dark Sky Association recommend that all streetlights be warm in color, with a color temperature of 3000 K or less. 2700 K is even better. Most of DC's new lights will be 2700 K. Maryland deserves the same. Pepco's filing doesn't state what color temperature they plan for Maryland. All of the new streetlights must have shielding to direct all the light down where it is needed, not sideways glaring into drivers' eyes, and certainly not wastefully up into the sky to hide the stars. Many of the options Pepco plans to offer communities for streetlight fixtures are not fully shielded. Some are even the acorn style, which is a completely unshielded globe. Pepco needs to revise their plan to offer communities only fully shielded fixtures and that the Public Service Commission defer approving Pepco's filing until they prove their plan supports all 5 aspects of good outdoor lighting design. Maryland customers can't afford for us to overlook good design. We must get this right the first time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll turn to Jacqueline Steele McCall. James Estep.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, coming on board here. That's video working. Hang on a second. There we go. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is James Estep. That's E-S-T-E-P-P as in Paul, Vice President and Director of Operations for the Greater Prince George's Business Roundtable. We support Pepco's multi-year plan to improve reliability and increase modernization. Pepco is a responsible corporate citizen, continually investing in the communities in which they serve, spending millions on workforce development in the state with a focus on STEM-related fields. Last summer, they announced they would spend $200,000 for Prince George's and Montgomery County students for higher education or vocational training, ensuring a local workforce ready for new technologies in the field. Additionally, they provided $500,000 in grants to small businesses in those counties as they deal with the pandemic. In 2020 alone, as the pandemic ravaged the state, Pepco provided more than $2 million in support of local nonprofits and relief funds, bringing hope to families, individuals, and local businesses under attack from COVID-19. Pepco's plan continues to take into account the significant impacts of the pandemic, accelerating tax benefits that will hold rates steady for the next 2 years, even as the improvements are made. The plan will bring 1 billion state impacts into play, supporting more than 1,400 jobs and continuing Pepco's strong trends of decreased outages, faster power restoration when an outage occurs, and increased overall reliability. Pepco will also take steps to positively impact our environment as they introduce smart LED streetlight technology over the next 5 years, increasing energy efficiency and supporting state energy goals. Pepco will build out their EV Smart program, fueled by 100% carbon-free energy, as they bring 250 new Level 2 electric vehicle charging stations to the state. The multi-year plan structure will increase transparency, accountability, and predictability for bill payers. Though increases are sought 2 years from now, even with those in place and the added benefits associated with them, Pepco residential customers using 811 kilowatt hours per month would still pay 14% less on their energy bill than they did a decade ago. The plan makes reasonable requests, respecting what this community is going through, while ensuring a future of efficiency and reliability. Thank you for your time, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you for coming. Miss Joanne Hahn. Miss Karen Payne. Miss Catherine Katzen.
Hi, my name is Catherine Katzen. That's Katherine, Katzen, Katzin. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I am in favor of the durable, energy efficient LED lights. However, I'm opposed to the inclusion of smart nodes on streetlights. They will cost $15 million of ratepayer funds, which will increase power bills at a time when unemployment rates are higher than ever, and ratepayers are struggling to afford even food. The smart nodes will also actually increase energy demand, energy consumption, and negate the energy savings of the LED lights at a time when climate action is a priority. The smart nodes will also expand Pepco's AMI network and result in increased radio frequency emissions to people outside. The adverse health effects of exposure to radio frequency radiation include sleep disturbances, neurological effects, and cancer. These effects have been well documented in thousands of peer-reviewed studies. The smart meters on light poles also constitute an increased invasion of privacy. The smart nodes are costly, complicated, and unnecessary. Please do not add the smart nodes to our light poles. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll next hear from Kelly Jordan Walls. Ken Nachoa.
My name is Kenneth Watcher, N-W-O-C-H-A, Watcher. The first name is Kenneth, K-E-N-N-E-T-H. Good evening, the chairman, good evening, the members of the board and the public. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on the desire on the part of Pepco to do a multi-year increase. I have this device. I'm a school teacher. I like to do a lot of examples a lot. So permit me to show you this device right here and the reason why that is. I moved into my unit. I live in a condo in Montgomery County in 2015. This device has never been connected. I've made 5 calls to Pepco to come and look at this device. They never showed up. I live in Baltimore County for about 8 years. I work with BG&E. Every time I make a call, they better show up. The excuse I'm getting from Pepco is COVID is everywhere. COVID is everywhere means what? I spoke to, when I got to somebody who said I should do an upgrade, that my unit is probably old. I should change the HVAC system. So, are you kidding me? That's your best. Say he has not come to even look at this device. I took photographs of this. I sent it to Pepco. They said this is not their product. And I'm wondering, this is Pepco right there. The point I'm trying to make is before Pepco moves on to do a multi-year increase, the gentleman that spoke said they have expanded about $110 million in recovery of investment and things done as far as customer service are concerned. And you don't have the gut to come to my unit. You're talking about customer service? You cannot come to my unit and tell me what this is all about. My electricity bill is still the same before I did the upgrade and after I did the upgrade. I'm completely in opposition of any type of increase until Pepco can guarantee me that the services, what they're proposing is working for everyone. I am not happy being gouged and paying money that I don't see the ultimate goal of what they are saying. If we're going to have an energy efficient system, you better start from my home. Right now, I don't see that effect at all. For several months, Pepco has yet to come and tell me what this device is doing in my home. Not connected. They say it's not Pepco. This is unbelievable. The best, please let there be a delay in any further increase until they can guarantee us that they have an interest at heart. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Wacha. I expect somebody from Pepco will be contacting you tomorrow. Mr. Kevin Roger Reed.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We
Can you
can.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good.
Okay,
Good
there
evening.
we go.
Good,
Mr.
good
Reed.
evening. Good evening, Commissioner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So it's an honor to be present during this meeting. My main participation was to listen and learn. The gentleman that just came. Well, first of all, let me say introduce myself. My name is Kevin Roger Reed. I'm the CEO of Reed Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm an alliance contractor with Pepco, BG&E. So I do a lot of contract work for customers relating with HVAC and energy conservation updates to their homes. The gentleman that just spoke reminded me of some issues that I've had with Pepco customers, where those Pepco power boxes that he just demonstrated and showed to us actually were causing malfunctions to their equipment, and this has happened on more than one occasion, and it does seem to not be the responsibility of no one when it comes to at Pepco, when it comes to those types of issues with those devices that are connected to their HVAC equipment. I'm definitely for moving forward with technology, the smart meters, the infrastructure for that, but there is a customer service gap that has to be filled and has to be focused on in a more concentrated effort in all of this planning and development that will responsibly assume responsibility for defects as this development and on this technology updates are happening. There will be some faults. Well, we all know this, and there has to be some type of planning on how to deal with that, so that the customers that do not have the technical backgrounds and do not have the technical knowledge that most of the Pepco people have, and the don't feel that they are not involved in these updates and improvements. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll hear from Kristen Cook. Letitia Pete McGinnis. Laura Simon. Louis Willen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thank you. I'm here also to just talk briefly about the customer service the Pepco provides, or in this case, does not provide. And this is important because Pepco wants to move ahead, but they really need to catch up on a few things. COMAR subtitle 50, 50, and then under 20.50.12.08. Oh, and I forgot to spell my name. I'm sorry. It's Louiswillen. Apologize for that. So subtitle 50 that I referenced, 20.50.12.08, customer communication standards, says that this is the section that applies to Pepco. Customer telephone call answer time standard. Each utility shall answer within 30 seconds on an annual basis at least 75% of all calls offered to the utility for customer service or outage reporting purposes. Now, I think that's a pretty, it should be a pretty easy standard to meet, actually, since like if I call my credit card company, it's very easy to reach someone within 30 seconds or a minute at most. But when you call Pepco, you never reach anyone within 30 seconds. In fact, it's impossible to reach anyone within 3 minutes because all calls are answered by a voice response system. Then you have to go through a very awkward, complex menu where you sometimes press buttons on your phone. Sometimes you have to speak things. A lot of times the voice response unit does not understand the responses. It's just a convoluted menu. Now, I know that many companies nowadays, of course, use these voice response systems. In fact, it's probably the rule rather than the exception. But the Pepco system is incredibly convoluted. And in my mind, I think it's designed to make it so that they just make it as hard as possible for customers to actually reach a live person. Now, I'll tell you, when I need something from Pepco, first of all, I rarely call them. And when I need something, most of the time I can find it on the website. But there are some things that aren't on the website. And so when I do need to call them, I'd like to reach someone without going through a menu system that takes at least 3 minutes. But it's really even worse than that, because much of the time you can't even really reach anybody within 3 minutes, because you finally get to a point where the system says, all customer service reps are busy, we can call you back. And then it's typically 10 to 15 minutes later that they'll call you back. So really, nobody is reached with, you never reach anybody within 30 seconds. You don't really reach anybody within 3 minutes. You might reach somebody in 10 or 15 minutes. So they're just not meeting the customer communication standards. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for providing that pin site to COMAR for us as well. We'll turn to Ms. Melinda Miles. Michelle Legrand. Regina Watson. Robert Boher.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Robert Boer. It's Booher. I'm a resident and chair of the Historic Preservation Commission of the town of Washington Grove. We appreciate and endorse the overall goals of the terrace to address the greenhouse gas impacts with the proposed streetlight initiative. We also appreciate the stated intent to work with each community to achieve individual local goals. However, we have concerns that the window of flexibility regarding the streetlights is too narrow to meet the goals of Washington Grove and perhaps those of other communities as well. I'm an architect experienced in historic preservation and sustainable construction with a focus on comprehensively modernizing the historic headquarters buildings of multiple branches of the federal government to meet technological and energy advancements. This is always done while preserving the character-defining elements of the historic structures. Much effort is spent by the design team in adapting the lighting designs and systems and confirming them to be valid for the extended lifetimes mandated for these priceless buildings. Preservationists have learned a lot from the various waves of technical innovation, including the rapidly changing lighting field. In particular, the introduction of the incredibly versatile LEDs. We've also learned how to evaluate the new technologies within the holistic goals of each restoration. We have witnessed how successful the LED industry has been in the dramatic reductions of energy use and maintenance, but also know the industry has had difficulty solving the remaining issues of glare and excessive brightness. In the area of human comfort, the industry has yet to mature. Washington Grove has been listed on the National Register since 1980. Because the field has advanced considerably in 40 years, we recently updated the listing to include a broader understanding of the important landscape and viewshed contributions to the historic character. This update identified the street lighting as a character-defining element of the town's history. Indeed, the nighttime lighting is something that is recognizably sets us apart from the surrounding developments and is treasured by most of the residents. Over the years, we've worked closely with Pepco to support their goals and our local goals together. Recently, we converted the original incandescent fixtures to LEDs with a simple replacement of the lamps. This was done carefully after sample installation and resident review, and successfully achieved a replication of the character and ambience of the familiar incandescent luminance. We ask that the Commission ensure that the new tariff expressly allow and encourage this type of Pepco community collaboration. It's a solution that has achieved LED installation and is sensor ready, so there is no immediate need for further replacement of the luminaires. Similar flexibility should be assured for other historic communities looking to achieve similar goals. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Bohr, and I want to apologize to all whose last names I mispronounced this evening. We have a few more to go. We'll next turn to Robin Hilliard. Sephora Jackson.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
We can. Good evening.
Good evening, commissioners and everyone else on the phone today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for coming to this hearing, allowing me to speak. My name is Sephora Jackson, that is S as in Sam, I, P as in Paul, O-R-A-H, Jackson from Montgomery Hills Community in Montgomery County. I do not want to speak directly to the proposal per se, but I do support the plan of the multi-year increase fees in hopes that it can provide speedier assistance and better customer service to folks that are having issues with the Pepco construction issues in our neighborhood. I speak specifically regarding the Sligo to Linden substation to substation project that is still ongoing. To start, I wanted to first thank them for reaching out recently regarding the installation of 4 manholes that is directly in front of our home. Although an official has recently reached out to help us take care of the issue, we had much trouble from the noise that has been going on outside our home due to manholes for over a year now. It was making horrible clank sounds and preventing us from getting proper sleep. And we were having a lot of trouble getting through to the right individual to help us resolve this issue. So much so that when I did call customer service, they didn't even know what the Sligo to Linden substation project even was. They said that they don't have any lines underground, just over top, and that was very upsetting to me. So I'm very much looking forward to Pepco taking care of this issue speedily. This isn't to say that they haven't been responsive, because when we did contact the right individual, they're very upfront with the issue to help us get to the bottom of it. But before then, we had to spend thousands on trying to soundproof windows to no avail. So I hope that they will continue to work with us further to completely resolve this matter. The only regret I have is not being able to get to the proper contacts until recently. But again, once I did, through my civic association, the contact did reach out and was very helpful. So I wanted to thank Pepco for that, and looking forward to having some peaceful sleep for myself and my neighborhood in Montgomery Hills. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. We'll next turn to Ms. Virginia Quesada.
Hello, can you hear me?
Again,
Oh, that's good. Well, I would first like to thank the chairman and the Public Service Commission for this opportunity to testify. My name is Virginia Quesada, Virginia, Quesada, Quesada. I'm the chair of the Town of Washington Grove's Lighting Committee. The Town of Washington Grove is a very small municipality with about 200 homes and 100 streetlights. We value both the historic designation of our community and the modern efficiency of modern streetlights. As Bob Bohr had said, we're on the National Register of Historic Places. We have worked very cooperatively with Pepco in the past. This past fall, the Town of Washington Grove, in cooperation with Pepco, converted our light fixtures to LED bulbs at our expense. Our fixtures already include the standard NEMA sockets for smart node connection. Our historic fixtures are solid and not end of life. We would like to keep we would like to keep these historic fixtures that are already LED and to continue to have a successful cooperative relationship with Pepco. However, since Pepco owns our streetlights and our poles, unless it is explicitly prohibited by the Public Service Commission, they could change them outright. The option for communities to purchase their own streetlights equipment should remain in the tariff. The current tariff provides that if a customer agrees in writing with the company, the customer may own their own street lighting equipment at all locations, to include the brackets, the fixtures, etc. However, in the proposed tariff would eliminate this option going forward, except for 1,853 fixtures that are already LED. It's really good to hear, and I've heard from other municipalities, they're welcoming Pepco's conversion plan, but not all communities want these new fixtures and the smart nodes. Please require Pepco to retain in this new tariff options for customers to buy their own lights. The proposed new rate structure by which communities continue to pay for lights after they've been amortized is an additional public interest reason why the purchase option should be retained. Essentially, we're going to subscription base. You'll never pay for these lights. The cost for each decorative figure is about $20 a month. We are currently paying about $5,000 a year for our LED fixtures. After 2023, we'd be paying closer to $2,000 a month for lights that we don't want and do not reflect the historical character of our neighborhood. In summary, please allow exceptions for historical communities. And please retain the current option for communities to purchase their own fixtures, whether they're currently LED or not. This is an essential provision for those who want to control the character of their lights in their neighborhoods. And it may also be an economic decision, because it could be more cost effective to own your own lights than to pay for expensive decorative fixtures that the cost never goes down. We have had a good relationship with Pepco. They have been cooperative, but unless we can have some options, we're not sure what our options would be going forward. Thank you for your time.
thank you for your comment. And Ms. Quesada, if you could please mute your microphone, we'll turn to Ms. Theodora Scarato.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thanks. I'm Theodora Scarato. I'm Executive Director with Environmental Health Trust. We're a scientific think tank that works on prevention and environmental health, all kinds of environmental health issues. We're focusing on wireless radiation at this time because it is such a critical issue that many people are not aware of, especially the science base. Oh, forgive me, my name is Theodora, and my last name is Scarato, Scarato. So if the lights are smart, which means they wirelessly connect to each other or to other in other networks, then that doesn't align with the independent scientific community, which recommends that exposures be significantly reduced because of the published, the peer-reviewed science linking wireless radiofrequency radiation to everything from cancer to DNA damage to increased oxidative stress, tumor promotion, and a variety of other impacts to the environment, which I want to talk about now. Because in this case, I think a look at what will be the environmental impact in terms of impacts to pollinators and birds that needs to be addressed. Now, the first question you might ask is, well, what is a safe level of radio frequency wireless radiation for birds, bees, or trees, or plants? That's a very good question. And in fact, the United States has no limits that were ever developed to look at the impacts to birds, bees, or trees, of which there is ample research at this time documenting adverse, harmful effects to our wildlife and our natural environment. Now, what happened was, just the short story is that the Environmental Protection Agency was developing limits for humans only, actually in the 80s and late 90s, and they were completely defunded in 1996, and we adopted industry-filled groups standards. They are not protective for humans either. You can look into that, and you look at the Natural Resources Defense Council amicus brief in our case. We actually have filed a federal appeal to the Federal Communications Commission on this because they are deciding not to update their limits. That's Environmental Health Trust et al. Versus the FCC. And the Natural Resources Defense Council filed an amicus brief in our case detailing the need for an environmental review, which in regards to this radiation. We had our oral arguments January 25th. It went very well, and we are awaiting a decision because the limits that we have were not set for long-term exposure, or it only looks at heat. So going back to animals, just to describe a recent review that was just published by Alfonso Bermori. He reviewed research on the link between non-ionizing radiation, including wireless, and the decline of insect species, and he found harmful effects on bees, including the loss of queen cells, changes to the weight gain of the hive, poor survival in winter, changes to flight, foraging, and feeding, changes to short-term memory, causing worker piping signals, which can mean disturbance or preparation for swarming, reduced egg laying, and no honey or pollen, and impacts to honey production. And it's quite an incredible document. It was just published. There are many other studies that are published. For example, what about impacts to trees? There's research showing radio frequency radiation over time can impact trees. So why would we be putting something that is emitting this radiation on poles all over our community? There is no, and I mean no, environmental agency at this time with any funded mandate to ensure that our birds, bees, pollinators, and wildlife are protected in regards to wireless radiation. The Environmental Protection Agency, when it was defunded, has not doing anything on this issue at all. I have a letter which you can look up by the director of the air and radiation to me when I asked many questions, confirming that there has been no review looking at impacts to birds, no review looking at impacts to bees. No one is doing anything on this issue at the EPA. In fact, just with the last administration, all the web pages of the Environmental Protection Agency were completely scrubbed, updated, and linked to the FCC. in terms of what are the health effects, what are the environmental effects of wireless radio frequency radiation. Now, the FCC is a captured agency. According to the Harvard investigative report, Captured Agency by Norm Alster, it talks about how the leadership of the FCC is former industry insiders working for industry lobby groups or industry lawyers. So, and they're not a health and science agency. So there has been no review. We have no limits, and therefore we can't put out what is being termed an environmental pollutant into the community when we have no limits to know what level is safe for our wildlife and natural environment, much less people who are being exposed. And you can go to our website at Environmental Health Trust, ehtrust.org, to learn more about this. There is ample, credible, published research. Just recently, Christopher Portier, who's the former director of the an agency within the CDC working on this issue, put out a long report about the linkage between radio frequency radiation and brain tumors. So when there are scientists in the US government that worked on this issue, and when they retire, there is a lot of information available that they are sharing and talking about. A former US Fish and Wildlife Service expert, also Dr. Manville, who is now retired, has submitted numerous documentation on the impacts to birds. Birds will be perching on these poles. They must be protected. So I would ask that there not be anything moving forward with wireless radio frequency radiation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. I've completed my initial list. So let me ask if I missed anybody on the call tonight that would like to comment. Okay, hearing nobody, I'd like to thank all the members of the public and the organizations for coming this evening. As I stated earlier, there are two more options. One is our public comment hearing on April 15th. Another option is to file any written comments on our public comment portal, and those comments will be due by May 5th, 2021. Again, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to share your thoughts with us regarding Pepco's multi-year rate application. The Commission does value your input and will consider your comments when presiding over this application in the coming months. Have a very good evening. This hearing is now adjourned. We're off the record.